Hello, welcome to Party of Two. We're your hosts. I'm Nick the Rogue.
I'm Kyle, Hunter, or if we're playing a different game, a Ranger, or something.
True enough. And today we're going to be talking about this wonderful, wonderful game, Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, we're both pretty excited for it, I would say.
Really excited. After watching that, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know why anyone wouldn't be.
Yeah, depending on your taste, though.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a pretty large history playing Final Fantasy. As a series, I've played through every single game. So I have not touched 11 or 14. That would be about it.
I mean, that's not really the same thing as playing through them as much.
Pretty much, yeah.
Different type of game.
I mean, speaking of that, though, I mean, lately I've been replaying 9, and that just came out on mobile, coming to PC soon, so I'm really, really, really excited for that. It means I get to play through it again, or introduce it to people who haven't played that before, so I'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm actually going to try to play it because I haven't had the chance to play 9 myself. I've mostly played more of the early ones, like 6 is my personal favorite. But, yeah, I haven't always had the chance to play them because I had the wrong consoles. But I've liked all the Final Fantasy games I've played. They've all been some of my favorite games.
Yeah, 9 is a wonderful game. You'll probably love it.
Yeah,
but
all of them have Nobuo Uematsu. Well, almost all of them have Nobuo Uematsu doing music.
Yeah.
And that makes me happy as somebody who likes good music in games.
Yeah, but today we're here to talk about Final Fantasy 15. I mean, do you want to give a quick little blurb about it then? In a matter of days, the kingdom of Lucius is to sign an armistice, ending a long and bitter conflict with Niflheim. Ahead of the ceremony, Prince Noctis, heir to the Lucian throne, sets forth from his homeland to formalize the Union of States, through his marriage to the Lady Lunafreya of the Imperial Province of Tenebra. This offer of peace, however, is no more than a ruse to lower the Lucian shield, and the Imperial army takes the Crown City as well as its sacred crystal in one fell swoop. En route to his destination, Noctis is shocked to learn that he, his father the king, and his betrothed are believed dead. Overnight, the dream of peace has faded into a distant memory. His world crumbling around him, Noctis has naught but his resolve and his loyal companions to see him through the trials that are to come. So going off of that gameplay, I think the game looks fantastic. I mean, you know they have to have a wonderful team working on it.
Yeah, I mean, as many people know, it was originally being developed, co-directed by Tetsuya Nomura and Hajime Tabata, but as people know, Tabata has taken over as full only director of the game, as Nomura is working on other stuff right now.
I feel like that's a really good change, though. I mean, I feel his work, especially with Crisis Core, is going to be very reflective on the series. You can see it in the battle system, as we'll get into the gameplay later, but just the overall style of the game seems very fitting for something that would be done in that kind of sense.
Yeah, he's also known for being very good about getting games out on time, which Square Enix has been having a bit of issue with,
unfortunately.
And also, of course, the soundtrack's Yoko Shimomura, so...
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to not be excited about there. Like,
that's always a good thing.
Phenomenal, yeah.
She's one of the best there is.
Yeah.
And what we've heard so far is, as expected, really good.
Yeah, I mean, I have very high expectations for both aspects, gameplay, soundtrack, and or even story-wise, but I feel that no matter what, they're all going to be fulfilled, man, and even then, like, going past that.
I know what Nomura was originally saying with creating the characters. They wanted to do different characters we've seen, and although he's not in charge of it anymore, I know that Tabata has pretty much kept most everything that Nomura did and just putting his own little changes and improvements to it while keeping the characters the same. For example, I mean, I know that they've said the main character is going to be very much different from previous Final Fantasy main characters.
Yeah. I mean, definitely the change of pace is something I'm looking forward to. I mean, with the way 13 and really every game has been done, this combat system, from what we've seen so far, is definitely going to be leaning more towards 12, if even that. It's such a vast improvement.
Well, it looks a little bit more Kingdom Hearts-like, or Crisis Core.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see the influence drawn from those games put into this. I mean, you can also see that in that segment, too, that we showed earlier, it's also leaning more towards a very stealth-oriented style.
Well, at least parts of it are. I mean, not the whole thing, but the fact that it has that in there is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it to be an interesting game. But if anything, we'll get into that in just a second. So looking a lot at that gameplay, I mean, it looks really exciting. We can see some stealth elements being shown off here, along with something really reminiscent of, like, a more active combat system, which is a big improvement for what the game series has become.
I mean, yeah, and obviously there's not going to be stealth everywhere. This is a stealth mission, although also then they get caught and it's not really stealth, so it gives you multiple choices. And of course, when you're just traveling around the car and going off doing things, I'm guessing you're not going to stealth around like a group of monsters walking around in the plains. That would be a bit odd. But one nice thing, though, is I'm actually seeing a lot more strategy from the from the gameplay than I've normally seen in action RPG games, like using his ability to teleport to where his sword is thrown, or, well, I know he uses telekinesis, so it's less thrown, but it doesn't really matter, but because of that, I've seen like times where he'll have something chasing him, and he'll just teleport from one spot to the next to bring it into a good spot to attack it, which is cool to see that type of gameplay being done with action RPG, and it looks really good.
I mean, one of the things that popped into my head for it was Metal Gear Solid, especially with one of the characters who has a striking resemblance to Kazuhira Miller from the series, from the most recent installment, at least in my opinion. But besides that, the fact that it has some kind of stealth option and also allows you to go and like, just, I guess you could say guns blazing, is another thing that feels very similar. But even then, comparing it to previous Final Fantasies, it's a really interesting step forward, and by my opinion, one that I feel is definitely appropriate. Because if you look at all the original Final Fantasy games, they're very, very focused on turn-based battle in some way, shape, and or form. This one being, as I said, very reminiscent of Crisis Core.
And
has
Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, yeah.
In many ways. I mean, I'll just say, I personally am kind of thinking of this game as Final Fantasy 15. Kingdom Hearts cross Metal Gear Solid.
From what we're seeing, that seems to be the case, but in that sense, it's a very good example of where we're getting with games these days. It feels very original with this combination of tools and different gameplay mechanics from what, like, everything we've been seeing so far. I'm very, very excited for this.
Yeah, and it's good to see how they're doing the gameplay, because as much as we love, like, the turn-based systems, it doesn't really feel right on big console like the PS4 with this quality graphics. As much as it'd be really cool, it feels like it fits a little bit better on handheld right now with stuff like Bravely Default.
Or even with the mobile ports, as you can tell, like Final Fantasy IX, as I said, is coming out for PC and iOS, but on the iOS version, you can definitely get a much better feel on a handheld. It just feels a lot more appropriate. I mean, sure, in the PS2 days, games like this, even up until PS3, it fit. But overall, we're at the point in time where people are wanting more action, and just having the battle stop and go.
More interactivity with what's happening. Is just like taking turns doesn't really seem to make as much sense now that the hardware is this level that it's able to do something like what this is doing.
Yeah, we can now process more actions, I guess you could say, or have a more fluid combat sequence.
Yeah.
Whereas normally, like, the reason for the originally being turn-based was to reflect on classic, like, Dungeons and Dragons style of gameplay, where everything went in a set order. And from there, it kind of stuck, because with the limitations, I mean, we did have stuff like Chrono Trigger, which, I mean, is, if anything, this could be compared to a 3D Chrono Trigger.
In a lot of ways, actually, one thing is they've shown what looks like there's team attack type things. Like, if you saw, there was that time when Noctis, and I'm forgetting the name of, I'm spacing on the name of the other character, the guy with the blonde hair, who you think looks like Kaz. But they do what appears to be a cross slash, like Frog and Chrono did in Chrono Trigger. It's triggered about when there's a gauge that fills up, and that seems to be triggered around then. So it looks like that was actually a special ability that they're doing. Yeah. Also, a different thing, talking about stuff being similar to D&D type things, is that something that we've never really seen in Final Fantasy, that we've seen a little bit in Western RPGs, but not so much, is that magic really interacting with your environment. Stuff like if you saw in the video when they knock the oil out of the Magic Tech armor and he casts fire on it, it makes all the oil erupt into flame, doing a lot of damage to a lot of stuff. And they've also said that spells like Blizzard and stuff like that will freeze water and other things like that, with lightning spells, electricity stuff, like spreading through things. It'll be cool to see that, because we haven't really seen that in Final Fantasy, or really in many JRPGs at all.
Or even games as a whole. If anything, I feel like this as a new dynamic definitely brings to the table a lot of differential type of gameplay. More so that how you play the game is really tailored to you as a person, and how you would normally play through any type of game, depending on like, oh, you know, you're a very strategy-oriented person, there's more room for that. You want to just go and hack and slash, you can do that. You want to be somewhat stealthy, there are portions of the game tailored for you. It's very open-ended in how it presents itself to you as a player, and I'm really enjoying that.
I know people really enjoyed having that type of options with how they use magic in Divinity Original Sin recently, so that's a thing people will probably enjoy a lot. Even though I don't expect it to be the same level as that, because that was probably the most we've ever gotten to be able to do that in a game.
And we have summons, though.
Oh,
Let's talk about summons. I mean, we first saw this, I think it was at E3.
It was in...
It was a game conference.
I know it was
quite some time ago.
Episode Death Sky, however. If I remember right, is where we saw that.
But basically, the whole concept behind it was, in previous games, when you summoned really any kind of Eidolon, they would just appear, they'd do their attack, or they'd be summoned for a few turns, as was the case in 10. But from what we're seeing here, they're gargantuan.
Yeah, I mean, that was exciting.
That was gorgeous. I mean, even from a graphical perspective alone.
Talking about graphics in general in this game, this is some of the best I've seen in the game, really.
Yeah.
This is pretty beautiful looking.
But the fact that you can have the summons, or rather Eidolons, rendered in this way, I mean, there really is nothing to take away from the hype. It just gets more and more exciting and more interesting, and I'm just loving every moment of it because it's looking wonderful.
I mean, at first I was honestly feeling a little bit burned out from how Final Fantasy lately has not been exciting the way it used to be. This is actually looking like they're doing something new and interesting, and but still Final Fantasy, and I've become really excited about this over time.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a problem with a lot of recent games, or just the gaming industry as a whole, is new concepts coming into the industry or coming into new games. We're definitely reaching a point where people are starting to reuse older concepts or just mix and match. And I feel that this as a game is going to be very refreshing in that sense.
I mean, even though it's taking previous ideas, but it's mixing them together in a way we haven't really seen, at least not in this level.
Yeah.
Which is nice to see. Even though it's not like everything's totally new ideas, they're taking the right ones. They're doing something that we don't see constantly, or at least they're doing a very good version of it that makes it feel a little bit more fresh.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see high expectations for this game, but I do feel like they're going to be met. I mean, as we said earlier, with the team involved, with everything we've seen gameplay-wise, I mean, I don't feel like we'll have any form of disappointment from this.
I mean, I'm sure there'll be some people that are disappointed. You're never gonna make everybody happy, but this looks like it could really be the Final Fantasy that's gonna turn people's opinion around and get people excited about the series again. Hopefully, at least, there's people that like Final Fantasy and would like to see some more good ones. Just gonna do that.
If anything, the game should be releasing later this year for Xbox and PlayStation 4.
Yeah, so. And I believe there's been a lot of rumors lately about it possibly coming to the NX, Nintendo's new
That'd be
console.
Wonderful. And with that, thanks for watching. I mean, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and we're sure to put out more. Just leave a comment below on what you want.
And ask us questions if you want to. Tell us what you like and what you don't like, what you want to hear, what you want us to talk about. And leave like or subscribe if you want to. And cool.
Yeah. And I mean, that was episode 1 of Party of 2. This is Nick the Rogue.
I'm Kyle the Hunter.
And we'll hopefully see you around.
Yeah, see ya.
Hey guys, I hope you all enjoyed the first ever episode of Party of 2. We had a bunch of fun outlining it and recording it for you all. I realize there's a lot we have to work on to make this the best podcast it can be. So without further ado, I would like to plug some links to where to find us. If you want to follow All the Lives Twitter, it is at ATL Games. If you want to follow me, I'm the most talkative on social media out of all of us. I am at Darkside2. Fen does not have any social media he uses. Kyle is at Taylor's Athner. And instead of a Twitter, Nick has a Twitch.tv account where he streams speedruns of various games. So go check him out there. And as always, have a good day, everybody. And see you in the next video. Oh, and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you.